Oh, okay.
Every goddamn time.
Every time. Yeah. I forgot even that I pressed the button. So here we are.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, y'all. What's going on?
So we skipped a week last week. We're sorry about that. I may or may not have tripped over my hippie dress and fell down a flight of stairs and injured myself pretty badly. So we skipped last week, but we're back.
We're back, and Paige is alive. I'm assuming.
I'm alive. I mean, I'm still a little. I'm in bed right now, like with my cigarettes and some Arizona iced tea because I like don't even want to drink. I'm like, feel like crap. Anyway, so let's start on a positive note, though.
Yes, let's do
So I got a wonderful message today from this woman who runs an amazing charity called Bob's Boxes. She delivers post-mastectomy care packages to women who have had breast cancer. She's a gem of a woman. She's a survivor herself, and she had told me she saw our post that said your favorite feminists are back, and she said I have a 10-year-old feminist, and she actually just started her own little company, as a way to help her get through, like, tough times with Corona. I'm sure, like, has not been easy being 10, and
right.
I love a little
to do now that school's out and stuff.
Yep, I love a little entrepreneur. I love a feminist, especially a 10-year-old one. So we want to give her a huge shout out, and we hope you're watching. And sorry if we're inappropriate. I don't know if our content is super appropriate all the time, but we'll
really think about that. Like, stop watching if you're 10. But we love you.
We'll try to be calmed down. But anyway, her company is on Etsy. She makes slime, and it's all really pretty and it's really cool looking too. It's called VIP Slime Store, and it is on Etsy. So if you want to go support a little entrepreneur, please do so, because I think that's amazing. At 10 years old, I was playing with my Barbie dream house. So
yeah.
And what a wonderful mom she has as an example too. So
right. Yeah, well, you know what? Like that, I'm sure that probably has a lot to do with it. When you see probably, the mental health effects on your, with your mom doing good things for other people, it's probably like something you chase too, because you're like, I see it. I see how good that feels. I see how good you make other people feel by giving them something to love.
I love everything that she stands for. I think it's wonderful. So I wanted to give them both a little bit of a shout out. So you can follow them both on Instagram, Bob's Boxes and VIP Slime Store. Uh-oh. Why are you?
Awesome.
You froze for a second.
Love that. Positive note for sure. So to do, but it's all good.
Anyway.
I guess. I don't know.
So, what shall we tackle first? I mean, the world has lost its goddamn mind in the last 2 weeks. And
really so I feel like it might be a whole vibe. Like, we're all just bordering on crazy and kind of trying to dip low.
I know. I don't know what's going on. Like, my anxiety level is through the freaking roof. Like, I'm a hot mess. I am the hot mess express. It's been a weird year.
Right.
Realistically.
Right.
We were supposed to start 2020 was supposed to be our year to roar.
Yeah. Instead, it was the roaring 20s, like, I'm going to eat you guys.
When it started with Tiger King, we should have known that things were going to go downhill.
I never put that two and two together. And don't start, because you know what happens when we start talking about that. We haven't done it in a while.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
There she goes. Tempting the gods.
Now we're gonna No, we're not on Instagram. We should be good.
Yeah, we should be good.
All right, so tell me what's going on with you.
So here's the
oh man.
Yeah, like I'm in a place and I'm doing the things that I encourage other people to do, right? Like, because I'm a counselor and that's what I do. Right. It's like, hey, if you're not happy, you got to change those things. Well, I'm just like, change them and figure it out after at this point, because I think, just everything that's going on and everything that people bring to me on a regular basis, it's a lot anyway. I'm usually pretty good at shielding it, but I have a lot going on too. So on top of it, it's like I have little tolerance for like shit that that doesn't make me happy because it makes me super extra unhappy versus, maybe I would deal with it, but
well, you deal with everybody else's problems. So when people throw shit at you personally, it's like, really?
Well, yeah. And so so like that happened and I snapped. I fucking snapped. But it's okay because you know what? I have come to terms with the idea that like,
you're allowed to snap.
Don't do that to me if you don't want me to snap. You have to know that I'm fiery. We all know that I'm fiery. We all know that even though I was a little less fiery because I was like in trauma life, you knew I was coming back. Right. So don't be surprised when you piss me off and then you don't apologize that I'm going to go spider monkey because that's how it goes. Like, so anyway, that's not even like the worst thing I did.
Oh my God.
I wrote a letter of resignation for the contract that I don't like. And I don't really know what I'm going to do.
You did not tell your bestie this week.
I didn't. Surprise.
Oh. Well then.
I still have the other one at the place that I love and want to be at. They don't have enough volume for me right now. I'm kind of flying with faith that I'll either find something that fits me better and doesn't make me crazy every day. Like last week, I went to a wellness store and spent a ridiculous amount of money on a bottle of CBD oil because that's how stressed out I was. I've never been that stressed out. It was like I'd wake up in the morning and be like, I don't want to see these clients. Not because there's nothing, not that there's something wrong with them, but I don't feel qualified. And I just don't, I was like, I cannot be doing this to people. Like they need somebody who is in it and knows like really feels comfortable
they need somebody that's in 100%. And they deserve that. And you deserve to not leave that, telehealth conference like, oh my God, well now I need counseling,
Exactly. And that was what was happening too. When you work with kids with trauma, like it takes a special kind of person. And I'm not that person, especially right now. I've never been that person, but especially right now after what I went through, like parenting a child with trauma and now my kid having to deal with the trauma of living with a child with trauma. I'm not here for it. And I was here for it for the money and it was wrong. And so, yeah, I did that. And I'm a little bit like, hey, universe, you know how you're so used to catching me? Can you do it again?
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
God.
I my own little Kanye moment. I was like typing it out. Let me send this before I change my mind.
Oh my God. It's all right. I mean, you always land on your feet and you made the right choice. You did. Nothing is worth your sanity. And like you said, those patients deserve 100% of you.
Yeah.
So if you can't give that to them, then you did the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and a lot of people have something to say about it, like about why would you quit a job if you don't have another one, or why would you quit a job during COVID, or you should try to like branch out in the field. And I'm like, this is not my first year in the field. I have been through all of the I'm allowed to pick what I want to work with. I am. Totally am.
Who is anybody else to tell you what to do with your life anyway? Like, get out of here. Seriously. For real. Like, are you doing heroin and like not neglecting your child? I don't think so. Then people can step in and say something, but like you did something that you needed to do for your mental health so they can shut the hell up.
Exactly. And it's not going to affect so far. I mean, I hope it doesn't affect the finances of the house. If it does, I'll figure something out, but I don't feel regret about it at all. I actually feel elated and I can't wait for the last day so that I can drive to Kentucky for my sister's birthday and be free.
Nice. Isn't Kentucky a hot spot? Are you going to have to quarantine?
No, I'm a hot spot.
I know you. I know, or else I would have come and visit you already.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure where she is. I don't know if they lifted the quarantine, so it's possible I'll have to stay in her house for 2 weeks.
Well, if they lifted the quarantine, it's going to be a hot spot. That's like
I don't mean that. That's not what I mean. I mean the self quarantine, like the 14-day self quarantine. I don't know if they've lifted that in Kentucky yet. Okay. I know here we are still way up here as hotspots. So we just had bike week this week.
Why? Why? Is that really
money?
I can't take it. So if we're going to talk about hotspots, let's discuss how the president is polling so low right now among his own people because of the disaster he has made out of coronavirus, that he is now telling people to wear masks. Hey, stupid fuck, you should have done that since day one.
Yeah.
Remember when you were told to tell people that? Hello.
The party. We've been here. We've been here the whole time.
I mean, holy shit balls, man. I mean, holy shit. Now you tell people, now how many people have contracted this? And now you're telling, oh, and another thing now, by the way, too, there were just a bunch of diagnoses. A bunch of kids were diagnosed. So the theories that kids can't get it, not true.
Uh-huh.
So now there's a big thing.
I'm pretty sure that Scarlett had it, but I only had her tested once, because after that first experience, I was like, there's no way in hell, unless this child is like, can't breathe, am I doing that to her again? No, yeah, it's very uncomfortable from what I've heard. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really do it. Like, they put it up there and she started like freaking the fuck out, crying, screaming. It was the worst thing I've ever, like the worst ever. I would not want that up my nose either. Would you want that up your goddamn nose? And it's not even just up your nose. It's like in your brain, basically. I know. Poor kid. We still want people to get tested. We're not. I mean, it's not bad. We're not trying to scare people out of getting tested. Just to be clear on that. Full disclaimer, we believe in testing. Yes. I mean, do it. Especially if you're a person that maybe has like an underlying anything, like definitely get tested, because you're going to need treatment. Like you're going to need treatment. So absolutely. And don't like wait until you can't breathe or you're having like major issues. Yeah. So my mom is in Pennsylvania. She's also in a hot spot now too. I mean, like, this is getting out of control. It's completely out of hands. I mean, we are the worst. We are the worst. I love living here, and please don't. If I ever got kicked out of this country, I'd be super sad. You know, because not me. I would be, even though I did. Okay, so I told my mom, because she just found out that her grandparents were Mi'kmaq Indians in Canada. I was like, so how about you go get your dual citizenship so then I can. Just in case they need it. So I've been watching this show. The hell is the name of it? The Republic of Doyle. It takes place in Canada, in St. John's. And the town itself, I mean, it's just such a cute it's in Newfoundland. And like, it's just the coolest place. It's got like all of the buildings are like all different colors, and it's a very colorful place. So as I'm watching this show, like, here's me, like, looking on the computer, like, I wonder if I should go visit there when this is over, because this looks like a fun place to go. It's only a 2-hour flight, and tickets were $169 round trip. I was like, oh, snap. When this pandemic is over, I'm going to look at Canada, because I'm sorry, I'm not happy here. I am not happy. If I got kicked out of America, I mean, I don't want to go to like a third world country, like, but I want a choice of exile, please. Right. Send me to Justin Trudeau, please. Yeah. Well, I mean, that would not be bad to see that dude on your TV all the time. Oh gosh. And he's so eloquent when he speaks, and handsome, and just the complete freaking opposite of what we're dealing with. It's like, remember Obama, how he was handsome and eloquent and always said the right things. That's just he had a vocabulary that had more than 12 words in it. Oh my God. Did you hear him talking about his cognitive test the other day? I swear to God, when I tell you I don't do nothing, not one single thing do I watch ever. Anything that's on Facebook, I scroll. I don't want to see. Oh no, I saw it on David Muir. Damn it. I saw it on David Muir. I was dying. I mean, I shouldn't laugh because that's the leader of the country, but like, I'm like, you could not possibly sound like more of a moron than you do right this minute. You could not possibly sound like a bigger idiot. Anyway, so we're just in a bad place, and seeing all these other countries kind of getting it together, and we're just getting worse. It's like,
Really, like, it really makes no sense how everybody else got it together. We're supposed to be the best country in the world, supposedly, and we are like the actual worst. The most cases have been here, not even where it originated. Here.
Seriously. Well, that's because we were like, oh, it's slowing down and we need money. So let's just open everything back up, because that makes so much sense, and force people to go to work, because now we're going to cut their unemployment if their job is available.
Well, that's what's happening now. And that's really, really freaking sad. It's really freaking sad. I mean,
they're working on another bill.
They have to do something. Well, in New Jersey, I know I don't think that we're going to be opening schools in September. I'm pretty sure that was already said, that it's going to be virtual learning, because we're just not ready. Like, don't forget, it's not just like, now we know kids can get it, first of all. That's first of all. But then you've got to worry about the janitorial staff, the people that work in the offices, the teachers, like the teachers' aides. If they get sick, then what? Who's teaching the kids? And then it's going to shut down all over again. More people will be dead. And then we're going backwards. So, there's no point in opening the schools right now. There's just no point.
It would make more sense to do something a little bit more practical. And people around here are already doing it, where they're having so there's a stay-at-home mom or somebody will have 3 or 4 kids come to the house and homeschool together so that the parents can go. But making it super small, and not, and
social distancing and right.
And I'm that makes more sense
than sending them back, because people are saying, well, what do parents do when they have to work? Well, I don't know. When I worked 70-hour weeks, I had to hire a goddamn nanny. So do the same, okay? Make sure the nanny is quarantined, does not bring your child out in public, does not go out and be an idiot, and wears a mask while they teach your child. Yeah. So
I'm going to tell you, I can't afford a nanny. If I had to pay for somebody to come in here,
we need our states to start giving those resources, is what we need.
Well, we really just need to not give billions of dollars to big companies, and we need to give billions of dollars to parents who need to stay home with their
kids.
I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for corporations over people. I don't, because those people are still going to get paid their ginormous salaries, while, Joe Smith over here is going to lose his house because he can't go to work. I care more about Joe Smith than I do this guy who has millions of dollars in the fucking bank already and possibly will go bankrupt, but still be quite all right.
It's just, I don't know. Something's got to be figured out. And I think on a federal level, I don't think this should be a state to state thing. I think that this should be done, a plan needs to be put in place and resources need to be put in place for parents that work, and how to figure out how to keep these kids home and keep everybody safe. Yeah. That, I don't think it should be left up to the states, because we saw what happened when we left the virus up to the state to state. How many states bumbled it? Come on.
We were fine before, and then as soon as it was, hey, it's your choice, they were like, cool, let's become a hotspot.
I know, it's unbelievable. It's listen, we were hit bad right from the start because everybody commutes from New York.
Right.
You
guys are the big, one of the bigger travel hubs from around the world too.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. So, we were hit hard right from the beginning. So our governor did the right thing right from the start. Restaurants are shutting down, all non-essential businesses are shutting down, and that's that. If you have to go out, you have to wear a mask, and that's it. Mm-hmm. It helped flatten the curve. It's not over though. I still see people at parties and stuff, and they're on Instagram with 1 million people, and I'm real freaking smart, guys, really brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Again, we're Americans and we're my rights, but they don't think about the rights of the people who are going to die because of you.
So I just posted a thing.
Do we know who this guy is?
Scott. No, I'm more worried about VD than coronavirus. Well, then maybe you should slap on a condom. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're worried about VD, that's pretty easy to not get. I mean, I've never got it.
We have protections against those, and most of them are curable, fortunately.
That too, yeah. Like, so don't worry. Listen, Scott. Don't worry about VD. Just go to the doctor if you get it.
Right.
Coronavirus. If you go to the doctor, you still might die.
Right. So just slap on your mask, wash your hands. Let's play nice and keep each other alive. So I posted a thing the other day that I thought summed things up perfectly. As an American, you have a right not to wear a mask. But just like you, businesses have a right not to let you in and not to serve you. You can't have it both ways. You are free to make the choice, but that means accepting the consequences of your actions. Screaming at employees and businesses for protecting their workers and customers does not make you a patriot. It makes you an asshole. So do not mistake inconvenience for oppression.
Yeah.
Bam.
And I also like the meme, and I didn't save it, which I should have, that said something about like, and of course they used a label, and you know how I am about labels. I don't do the like rah Republican, rah liberal, like, because I just feel like it's a group think, and I don't like to do it. But it was basically like, if you were on board for the bakery that would not bake a cake for the gay people because it was their right, then you need to be on board for it to be their right to require a mask, or else you are a giant hypocrite. Because
seriously,
it's a goddamn concept.
I mean, it really is. But fuck that bakery anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that bakery should never.
More gay every day. Fuck that bakery.
Oh shit, that's funny. Mood.
I'm in a mood. Clearly, the sedatives I took haven't really taken effect yet.
See, and to me, I'm like, oh my God, it's opening day for the Red Sox. I'm so like, but also, and I did want to address this. I kind of blew over it a little bit with the whole, like, I was in a panic, and that's why I went for the CBD oil because I was desperate, and I was like, I don't want to go to a doctor because I don't want to be in a doctor's office in a fucking hot spot because I just feel like that's where the COVID people are at.
Yeah, totally.
And I also was like, I don't want a sedative because I'm too much of a like medication pussy. Like, I will pass out all day long, and I have a kid. I can't do that. Like, it's not going to work for me. So I was like, let me try like probably the lowest level of what might, and see where we go from there. So I'm on day 4 of taking it, and I really feel a difference. I don't feel weird. I just feel better.
I was doing CBD for a while. I like you, I started off slow. I was doing like the honey sticks, which have like a very low content in them. And then I went up to lollipops, those are a little bit higher. And then I started doing the gummies, and I had a situation where they accidentally mislabeled the dosage on the gummies. So it was like, eat 3 to 4. So I ate my 3 to 4, and I have never felt so sick. I was like, because it's oil. It's right. Oil, right? Okay, right. So these were like gummies that looked like the rainbow ribbons. I was vomiting the rainbow for.
Fuck.
So I go to the store the next day, and I'm like, what did you give me? Like, I was so sick last night, and I feel like I was in a chemical-induced coma. Like, what was this? She's like, oh my God, that's labeled with the wrong milligrams on it. I'm like, God. So that traumatized me a little. It took about a month before I went and bought CBD again after that.
Yeah, well, that would suck.
Yeah. So start small. Don't go too hard. And remember, it's an oil. So like, if you have too much of the oil, you will vomit.
Right. Well, what I did was like, I made sure I went into like one of the local wellness stores that's all they do is that kind of stuff. And like, I went in, and the very adorable man behind the counter he stood there and kind of talked to me about, whatever. He asked me what I was looking for. And, in all honesty, like, I was going there because I was like, I'm freaking out. But then I was like, you know what? Like, I did hear that like it can help with other stuff. And I was like, I have like GI stuff. Like, I have gut health problems. And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, try it. But he was real good about, he's like, how do medications hit you? Because we have all these different milligrams, and you definitely
want to start high.
Yeah. So he's like, let's start with this one. If you're not happy for some reason, come back, we'll talk about it. So I felt really like, okay, this guy, he wrote down like this many 0.5 or whatever the hell it was. I just look on the little dropper.
Yeah, like drop this and that. Yeah. See, I always did like the candy or the gummies or whatever.
Well, that's what I wanted to do.
Myself.
That's what I wanted to do. I texted my friend. I was like, "Where do you get those gummies from?" And got the link, but I was just I couldn't wait for it
right then and there. There are some really good ones online that are like, that are very reputable. That if you have stuff now, that if you want to like order them online from someone, you can.
Right, and that's what I need to do because obviously it's expensive, and I just quit a contract. So.
And you know what? Like, I feel like because you got the actual oil to drop into things, it's more expensive to buy it that way too.
Oh, probably. Yeah. I mean, I barely used any of it, and I just drop it like under my tongue and hold it there for a minute. And it's really like, I mean, that's going to last me a while. So it's not super bad, but I do feel like, if there's a cheaper way, that'd be cool.
Yeah, no, there is definitely a cheaper way. I get the honey sticks. They're $2 a stick. I have to eat 2 of them though, because like my body is used to it now at this point. But $2 a stick isn't that bad. And I would take it when my back was really bad. It wasn't just for like anxiety reasons. It was when my back was really bad. It did. I mean, listen, it's certainly not a painkiller, but it did actually help like relax me a little bit. Yeah. So it's like I was still in pain, but I wasn't like ready to murder people, from the pain,
Right. Which is exactly, like how I feel is like, I feel like I was so wound up. My stomach was killing me. I couldn't eat. Like I was just a mess, just thinking about everything, the personal stuff that was going on, the mental health stuff that was tied to work, a little bit of fear of what was going to happen when I quit that. And I was just like, I cannot function like this. And I need to be able to function, especially if I'm going to quit a contract.
We all need to be able to function. We got to live life. You know what I mean? Like right now, it's not so great, but it's, we still have to function through it, unfortunately.
Right. But so hopefully that, will continue that way because it really, I feel more focused because I'm less freaked out.
Anxious. Yeah.
So I'm really glad this is cool. Like this will be a blog post, I'll do like my first 7 days, like whatever, just because I was curious of what it was going to feel like. And it was not what I expected. It's not an immediate, like, the second I took it, but it was gradual. It only took a couple days.
It takes like an hour for it to like really hit you. It's almost like eating like pot edibles. Like they don't hit you right away.
Yeah. They don't hit you right away. You may just spend the whole evening in the bathroom hiding from people.
Listen, I'll never forget this. I went camping with Thou Shao, who remain nameless. His band was playing up in Gettysburg. So we were camping there for 2 days. It wasn't like real camping because there were bathrooms and stuff. Right. And we had like a 10-person tent that so it wasn't like really roughing it that badly. But anyway.
You're still camping though, because you're still not.
I fucking hate camping. I'll never do it again. I fucking woke up on Sunday morning. I woke up and there were literally spiders like that big all over the tent. I was like, well, now I'm going to stay in the tent for the rest of my natural life because I'm not getting out of here. I'm not moving from this tent. But anyways, so we had made pot brownies and I don't know what the fuck I was thinking because I'm the one who made them. I know how much shit I put in there, okay? I ate like 2 of these brownie cookie bars. I ate one, 40 minutes later, nothing. Ate another one. Well, let's just say I was sitting on a rock in the middle of the woods in Gettysburg for about 4 hours just staring at people. I lost 4 hours of my fucking life. And I just kept in my head going, please make this go away. Please make this stop. I think I'm hallucinating. Please make this stop.
This is why I won't do it, dude. I can't handle that feeling. I can't. Even like, at least if I'm like too drunk, I'm like, in a half hour, I'm going to feel less drunk. Like it's going to be all good. Like I can, it's gradual and I can stop myself. Like that whole, like, I'm just going to sit here for however many hours this takes.
I've accidentally tripped balls off of edibles before. It's like not fun. It's not my favorite thing. I can't even smoke anymore. I get panic attacks from smoking. So like I've tried edibles here and there. It is like they say it's like really good for your back. So when I went up to Massachusetts when I went to Salem, we stopped off in Boston and there was a dispensary there and they had half CBD and half THC lozenges.
Yeah.
They were perfect. Like you were not high. I felt relaxed. My back didn't hurt me. I was just like mellow.
That's pretty amazing.
And I was like, that's what we need here legally.
Yeah, right.
Because our dispensaries here, like there's only one of them that sells edibles. Out of the 4 that we have, only one of them sells edibles. So if you don't make them, you just have to go
crazy. Like I'm actually surprised because New Jersey is normally much better at that kind of like I don't want to say innovative, but just like variety.
Well, that was the last I heard. Maybe because that was like, I guess a year and a half ago because, the nameless person had his medical license. Right. So he told me only one of them, the state had them. And it was all the way, I want to say in like Woodbridge or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, who's going there? We had one in Montclair. Why the hell were we going to Woodbridge,
Right. Yeah. Just to get like, the perfect thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's do our pop culture thing real quick.
Okay.
We have 2 pop culture things to talk about because we're going to talk about. So we're talking about everybody's losing their fucking minds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's losing their minds.
I lost my mind. We talked about. Yeah. I'm glad that losing my mind is not at the level that we're about to talk about, though.
Okay. Well, listen, even when I don't like somebody, I still don't like to watch like their like demise on my television or like phone screen. It still is like that person is mentally ill and this is not really funny. Mm-hmm. So, but it kind of is. Like Kanye West has lost his motherfucking mind.
Yeah. For real this time. There's been many false starts.
He's lost his mind several times.
Right. But there's been many false starts because we're like, he really likes to be dramatic. So we're going to give him the benefit.
Dude, he is having like a public meltdown of epic proportions at a rally, screaming about how his father wanted him aborted or some shit like that, and then starts crying up there. And like you see people like looking at him like, what is going on?
Kanye needs therapy, dude, because that's what you're supposed to do in therapy.
He needs medication. He needs more than therapy. He needs like
that's what people do in my office. And it's like, cry here. Cry for an hour if you need to. Let's talk about all the horrible things you're holding inside so that they can be gone. Don't say it publicly during your presidential rally.
Okay, first of all, presidential rally, my balls. This is a big distraction, and we all know it. He's trying to convert voters so he can get them to vote for Donald Trump. It ain't going to work. It's not going to work. You're acting like a goddamn madman. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. It's a distraction. But he is really, truly like he needs like a lobotomy. I don't fucking know. Electroshock therapy. I don't know. Somebody needs to just put him in a rubber room until he can learn to shut up for a while.
Well, yeah, because unfortunately, I don't think he wants help. And so therefore he's not helpable.
I don't think he wants help either. I think he thinks he's normal. Well, most crazy people do think that they're normal.
Exactly. Like if you're asking yourself if you're crazy, you're not there yet.
Well, listen, I know I'm crazy.
Am I crazy? Oh, if I'm aware that I might be, I must not be.
Well, I'm definitely, I'm crazy. Not in like a, I need lithium kind of way. Like, I mean, like, and like,
committed. You're not actually crazy.
Right. Like, yeah, like, I mean, I have anxiety attacks. I have fears with, again, like, ridiculous things, but I'm not like certifiable. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
This man is.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the time that my doctor, the one that died of COVID, by the way?
Every time you say it, every time I'm still like, doctor died of COVID. Y'all. Not a surgeon in a hospital. He's a regular doctor, and he died of COVID.
COVID, yeah. And that was a lovely phone call to get because I saw him that day. So I had to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And I was like, I'm going to die of COVID. But anyway.
Well, the way they said it too, right? Because they were just like, someone had COVID. And then it was like months later, like, oh yeah, he died. It was your doctor.
I can't take it. It was like so insane. So anyway, I'm sitting there. They give you your chart to go sit in the office with and hand to the doctor, which I think is the weirdest thing in the world because most people just put it on the door and the doctor takes it off the door. Right. So I look, and on the front page of my thing, it says all the things that are wrong with me. And it says, first fucking thing it says where it says family history, insanity.
No way. You're making this up.
I am not making it up. I should have taken a picture of it.
Because would you say? Did you say my mother's insane? No,
I mean, my mom is bipolar. I told him my mom is bipolar, and like, you know,
how is your family? Insanity. Oh, you're writing that down.
I just thought that was the craziest. Like, it didn't even say like, you know, family history bipolar. It was like insanity. So now I'm sitting there holding this fucking thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna light this on fire. I do not want this on my record.
I can't do because then it's gonna confirm that I'm insane.
Oh my God. I literally couldn't even believe it. I was like, you can't make this shit up. It says insanity on my file. I was like, I'm not insane. I have anxiety. What the hell? Insanity.
I can't. Oh my God. I would never hand a client. I mean, I know that I'm a therapist and it's different, but I would never hand a client a chart just because it's like, I'm working stuff out here that you're not supposed to see because I'm working it out. Like, I'm trying to make your life better, not worse.
I don't understand why they did that to begin with. They do it to everybody. The office still does it. My friend still goes there to see his brother that didn't die of COVID. And they still have that same fucking system in play. And I'm like, my chart says insanity. Like,
now, do you address that the next time you go in? Like, how do we cross off insanity? I
almost said something to the doctor, but he was in a mood. He was very old and cantankerous. And it was just like,
in a mood of I'm about to die of corona.
Probably.
Like I'm about to get it. He must have known.
He was kind of, you know, he was always yelling at his staff and stuff like that. And he had just gotten into an argument with one of the secretaries. So I was just like, I'm not going to bring up that this says insanity right now, because then he's not going to give me my insanity pills.
No. I didn't think that, honestly. Like, you don't want to start an argument and have him be like, all right, I guess you're fine. Like, oh, I mean, but I'm not fine, but I'm not insane.
Well, it said family history insanity. So I'm guessing the implication was that it was my mother, but bipolar does not equal insanity.
No, absolutely not.
That's why I was just like, what in God's name is happening here?
But see, that's my problem. And this is my problem with, you know, this contract that I just quit. And literally any other community agency that I've worked for. It's not like it's just one that I've worked for. I have a big problem with the like, you have to prove that everything is so super horrible in order to get services for people. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you have to say things like insanity. You have to say that a kid has PTSD when they don't, because they're 4 and they just have like an adjustment disorder right now. They're too young to diagnose because they can't express themselves, you know. But what happens? They come for an eval and I say they have an adjustment disorder, or that's what I see right now because it's linked to an event. And they're like, well, we can't bill for that, or we can't bill enough for that.
So
look at this major thing. And I'm like, I don't like it. I can't do it.
No, and the problem with that is that stays with you for the rest of your life. Exactly. It really does. Like, a diagnosis like that stays with you and follows you around for the rest of your life.
And even if it's not on paper with your insurance or whatever, it follows you around up here. And that's why I would never do it. When I work on my own, everybody gets a fucking adjustment disorder at first because it's literally like you're reacting to an event right now.
Right.
Later on, if 3 months down the line, we're still having those symptoms after we've done 3 months of therapy.
What else it could be?
Right. We'll think about something that maybe is more long term.
You don't want to diagnose a kid. Like, no. Like, listen, with my oldest son was diagnosed. I knew he had ADHD from a year old.
Yeah.
I mean, he would literally pace the halls back and forth at 1 year old. Pace back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He would be up all freaking night. Energy that just nothing slowed him down. He couldn't focus on things. Like he didn't want to. If he didn't want to learn it, you were not able to like convince him to sit down and do it. Yeah. I knew. So like I bring him to his first day of pre-K, and the teacher pulls me aside and says, I hate to say this, and I always hate telling parents this, but I think that your son might have ADHD, and I think we should have him tested. I literally looked at this lady. I said, no shit, lady.
Yeah.
Like
test away, test away, test away.
Yeah, like, test away. Diagnose him, get him the help that he needs, because if you think that you have to, the 7 hours a day you have to deal with him is bad, I deal with him all the time. So let's fix the situation if we can. Right. But it's not, I was never one of those parents that threw medication at him. So it wasn't fixable. He had to learn how to live with it. He's still learning how to live with it. Not well. Right. But he was also diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder. Right. You tell him the sky is blue, he'll tell you, no, it's not, it's purple. Like, I mean, arguing for no reason, like, you know, but like, you know, that was one diagnosis where I was like, you know, whatever they put down, I believe it, because I'm dealing with a hot mess right now. It was hard when he was little.
Well, you were like, this is not, you know, the typical behavior. So let's go see what it is and get him help.
Right. And like, well, and when Logan was the same age, like my middle son, when he was the same age, the difference in behavior between the two of them was just so profound that I knew that the diagnosis was right. Because my favorite is when people tell me, everybody has ADHD now. No, there are some kids that really fucking have it, okay? Like, don't act like I'm some asshole that wants to label their kid with something that I don't want him to have. Do you think I want him to have this? Like, I mean, who would want that? Aside from somebody with... Like,
this is the problem of the medical and mental health field, though, because I will tell you, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 19 years old, and I do not have ADHD. I have fucking anxiety. And the anxiety symptoms mimicked ADHD.
Right,
so they diagnosed me with that. The medication made me absolutely insane. Like it was not, because I wasn't supposed to be medicated for ADHD. So this is where it comes from. The overdiagnosis makes people assume something instead of being like, instead of blaming the right places. Like, well, guess what? Maybe doctors are not so informed, but it doesn't mean your kid doesn't have it.
Well, I also think too, like they're too quick to diagnose. Like, okay, so this kid is got a lot of energy, so it must be ADHD. We're gonna write that down. That's what you've got. Slap it on you. When really, the kid might just be bored or have parents that don't pay attention to him or isn't getting the right attention. It could be numerous things. But like, I knew my kid had ADHD from like a year old. His eyes would be like all over the freaking place, like a freaking bobblehead. It was like, slow down, you're giving me anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, you know. And not much has changed. He's 21, not much has changed.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you did what you were supposed to do because you knew that was, but had they given some random, you know, diagnosis, I know though too that you would have been like, that's not it. You're not doing that. And a lot of parents don't do that. I remember taking, you know, the other child that I used to parent, taking her in because it was getting to the point where it's like, okay, people aren't listening to me. I guess we'll try the psychiatry route and see what happens. We sat for 15 minutes with a woman who didn't ask the child anything. The child was old enough to answer the questions, didn't ask her anything, listened to 5 minutes of what we said and tried to prescribe like an adult sedative and said, you know, I don't even remember what the diagnosis was, but I was like, I was like, all right, lady, listen, I'm going to confess to you. I am a therapist. I know what she has. It cannot be medicated, but we're here for that reason. And I cannot believe that we only had a 15-minute session and you tried to give a 6-year-old a heavy medication. Like, this is not happening. We're not filling that script. And I am like this close to saying something about the fact that this is what's happening to children that come into your goddamn office.
It's the zombification of our children. And it's a lot of it. Listen, I cannot even tell you every goddamn IEP meeting that I went to twice a year for Tyler. You had to go twice a year for the IEP meeting, okay? Every single goddamn time I'd walk in and they'd tell me to medicate him. And there was one time I walked in, he was probably in like 6th grade, and Xander's dad was with me. And so we made it a little older because Xander was in a baby carrier. So I was in an extra freaking special mood because I was like, just had a baby, I'm hormonal. Like I am at
don't haven't straightened out. What's up, guys?
3 boys. I am at don't fuck with me level. I like walked in, put my shit down, sat down. I said, I'm just going to start this by saying, if one person in this room says to medicate my child, I am going to pick my belongings up and I'm going to walk out. And you can write that in your file. Never happened again with that set of people. I'll tell you that much, because it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not medicating him because you can't do your jobs. Like it's like he has a special education plan for a reason.
Right.
You are clearly not challenging him enough. You're not teaching him properly. There's something that you're not doing correctly if you think that he should be turned into a zombie instead.
Right. How is that? Because the IEP is meant to address.
It's literally an individualized education plan.
Right.
It is meant for that child to get the best education possible. Which, whether it's having an aide in the room to help him with tests, giving him longer test time, giving him extensions on projects, but it is there, like it is there for you to help him, not for you to tell me to take him to the pediatrician to go get some Ritalin. That's not what it's there for. I think there are some kids that do need it. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some kids that are in bad shape, and it's to the point that they're going to harm themselves if they don't take something to calm them down. But he was not violent. He wasn't, he wasn't a danger to himself or anyone else. They just wanted to make their damn job easier.
Yeah. Well, and so this brings it to the education system, and unfortunately teachers are always the one that get the bad rep because they're the ones that are the closest to us, but it's the administration that's the real problem, is that the system is designed to teach in a certain way. And if you cannot understand that certain way, then you are now on the outside, and we're not really going to help you try that. But the reality of it is that we are all human beings, and some of us learn differently. And the idea that you have to conform your brain to learn in a certain way is a little absurd.
Bullshit. Tyler had a teacher in 7th grade that finally, it was like, I was like, this woman is a saint. He was always like moving around in his seat. So he was never able to focus on what was going on because he's all over the place in his freaking seat. Simplest solution ever. She gave him a pencil and put an eraser, like a big eraser on the top of it. And she said, every time you feel like you're going to move around in your seat, I want you to take this pencil and tap it on the desk. And while you're tapping it on the desk, I want you to pay attention to me talking at the blackboard. And that should help with it. Where the fuck were you 5 years ago, lady? Because this would have saved me a whole lot of problems. But it actually worked. And I remember until he didn't have her anymore, he actually was learning. And it was why did it take that, something so small? And what cracks me up, it was not a young teacher. It was an older lady. So it's not like somebody she would go every year and go and learn new techniques to help teach these children. She was a wonderful teacher. And we need more people like her. We do. Sometimes simple solutions are what work best, not shoving a pill down your kid's throat.
Right. I can remember my brother's 5th grade teacher, and my brother, he didn't have a lot of trouble with school, but he just didn't like it. He just didn't like it is all that it was. So he would screw off instead of doing what he's supposed to do. He had no diagnosable anything. He just didn't want to do it. He wasn't interested.
He wasn't into it.
Yeah, he wasn't into it. And he would just kind of skate by. And then his 5th grade teacher, it's funny because I'm friends with him to this day because I just loved him so much then. And like, you know, now we're all adults, so we can all be friends or whatever. And he's still just as fucking cool as he was then. But like, he was one of those teachers that was like, I like this kid. This kid is not intentionally bombing.
Bad
he
kid.
Can't connect. He cannot connect. So he like took it to the level of like, he was like relating things to like food and sports and like stuff that he could.
Yeah, things that he was interested in.
The only year my brother has ever been on the honor roll was then. Never again did it happen because he never had another teacher that cared about his students
to work with him like
he
that.
Would bring them. He would give that little extra to everybody who needed it.
And you know, like here's the thing,
it's
I
hard,
don't want to
like it's hard. I know teachers are overworked.
I was just gonna say, listen, I don't want to. I am in no way. I don't want to down teachers. There are some really great teachers out there. My aunt was a teacher. My aunt Karen, who you spent how many Easters with us? She was. I mean, when I say wonderful with those kids, she cared about her kids like that. Like she loved her job and she cared about her kids. They're overwhelmed, especially in big areas. There's 25 kids to a class and one teacher. Exactly. You can't give every kid the attention they deserve. It's not even their fault. It's not even their fault. Mm-hmm. And they're getting, and the worst part is they're getting paid shit money. They're not getting paid well, like at all. Oh, yeah. Oh wow, they get the summers off. Everyone's like, oh yeah, but they get the summers and holidays and this, that, and the other thing. They still get paid shit money. Okay?
Yeah. I have to work twice as hard as everybody else.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely.
Anyway.
And I think too, like it depends on the area, the kind of kids that you have. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like when my brother was going to school, we were in like rural America. So the class sizes were kind of small. The kids were all like kind of, you know, like we were all in a laid back area. So like you didn't have some of the same behaviors that you see from kids that have like a lot of stimulation or a lot going on because there was nothing going on. Like everybody was kind of chill. Yeah. So it was a little bit different. Then you get into a place like an inner city where you have all the issues that sometimes happen there, the safety issues. These kids are anxious because they're afraid they might die. They're going to act out in school, bro.
Right,
like they can't concentrate because they are worried about eating. They're worried about getting hurt. Like they can't
They're worried about having clean clothes every day. They're worried about their parents being drug addicts. They're worried about getting shot coming out of their school. I mean, it's... Yeah. I don't know. We have a real problem with our education system in inner city schools. Like, I mean, it's not right.
Big time. We have a big problem with inner cities. Like inner cities shouldn't have, like when you say inner city, it shouldn't mean what it means when we hear it.
No, it shouldn't. But it's unfortunate. But like, think about all of the bad areas that are in New Jersey. What is it? It's all high crime rates, high drug use, high, like shooting rates. I mean, it's terrible what these kids have to grow up with and see. Some of them will come out of it and they'll be like, I don't want to be like that. And some of them are going to be exactly like what they're seeing around them. And it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I mean, it kind of sucks. Like, as you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, it works the same opposite. Like, it's the same in the opposite in like really shitty rural areas where people are breeding hate. Those kids don't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance. They know nothing else. They know nothing else. They don't even have the capacity until the internet is literally the only thing that these people are going to encounter that will possibly make them think about what they've learned, because otherwise they just learn what's around them. And
guess what? Even the teachers are hateful pieces of shit too.
Because it's the whole area. They grew up learning that that's the way. It's not even their fault because it was there. They didn't have access to anything else.
I was talking about this the other day with one of my friends. Racism will always exist. It will always exist because there will always be, from generation to generation, having it passed down. So it's always going to exist. We just have to figure out how to slow it down and how to make things more progressive and do the right thing. And kids that are being taught hate, try to reverse that when they get to the right age. I mean, but it's always going to exist because there's always going to be a parent or a grandparent that's going to teach that to their children and grandchildren, and then those people are going to pass it down to their children.
Right.
It's a never-ending vicious cycle.
And again, because they're all in a same area, you know what I mean? Like where I went to high school, I mean, I liked it there, but I was also white. Like I came out white. I could have came out brown, but I came out white, so good for me. Like lucky for me, I should say. But like that area is still kind of the same. Like they want to say that they're not hateful, and maybe they're not outwardly hateful anymore, but they're not accepting. Right. They're not comfortable. It's just still not the same way. And it's just because they don't have exposure. They're just it's like if you live in white America, you live in white America. You don't have the opportunity to live in Black America because you don't, or you don't have the opportunity to live in a Spanish hood because you don't.
Well, and it's the same thing too. Like you're not exposed. Like people do not come out of the closet when they're in areas like that because they're afraid to. Mm-hmm. They're afraid to. You think there aren't gay people there? There are gay people there. They just aren't coming out because they don't want to fucking get killed. You know,
exactly, or ridiculed or whatever, or treated like shit, edged
out. Yeah,
especially in a small town. Where are you going to work if people hate you because you're gay or you're whatever? Mm-hmm. Like, where are you going to work? How are you going to make a living?
It's like we like to think that we've made so much progress, but I feel like we really, we haven't really.
Well, and in all honesty,
in some ways we have, but
kind of an argument that I had that I wish I didn't get myself into, but I did it anyway. I was kind of like, you know what? I think even our founding fathers, as ignorant as they were, because they had no exposure to what we have exposure to now, I think because of the fundamental reason that they wanted to start our country, they would understand better than these people, because they were like, we're so tired of the groupthink. We're so tired of the you have to be. Like, I think even they would be like today, like, well, yeah, I mean, that's not what we built our country on. We did not build our country on like white is the best. Like, that's not what we meant. We just happen to all be white.
Because we fucking took over a country that was already occupied. Well, and then Black people are slaves.
Well, and I think that like that whole thing gets lost because we don't have like enough firepower. Like when I heard my mom say like, oh yeah, like I just found out that my grandparents were not, I don't think it's her grandparents were like legit like Indians in Canada. I was like, how am I 41 years old and nobody, how old you are and nobody knew this? What is this about? It's about white America, and we ain't telling anybody that we were, whatever, natives. But so since that day, I've kind of been a little bit like, all right, I mean, Canadian Indians are, their experience has been a little bit different,
mm-hmm.
But like it really, I actually connected in a way that I never had to the Native Americans here. And I was just like, how did that go down? We don't really know.
No.
We don't know everything.
Well, no, we know what people wrote down and we know how that goes. It's like a game of fucking telephone.
Yeah.
When it gets written down, the story changes over and over and over and over again. And then we're fed, things that might not necessarily be true.
Right. It's kind of bullshit.
It is total bullshit.
Like I don't know. And like, I'm not going to have, I mean, I don't really know what to do about it, but I also just feel like what we're supposed to do is just learn and move forward, because we cannot go backward, but we are not moving forward.
Right. We can't. Well, we need to keep moving forward, and we need to keep like the correct movements moving. Like literally like, okay, so just because the rioting has stopped and everything else, the Black Lives Matter movement needs to keep going. It should not have lost momentum. People should not have stopped talking about it. That is how you get results. you keep on moving forward in a positive way. Like, I mean, there are just some people that will never understand that. That doesn't mean that people think that Black Lives Matter more. It just means that they matter.
My favorite is the people that are like, Black Lives Matter. And then they put up a Blue Lives Matter. And I'm like, how are you? That's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
Because we're all supposed to believe that all cops are heroes. And of course there are hero cops.
I love cops. I don't love cops that kill people.
I don't like cops that are fucking trigger happy to unarmed people of color, okay? Like, I do not like seeing innocent people getting shot the fuck down. I don't like somebody getting their neck stepped on for 8.5 minutes. I want you to think about how long 8.5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And people watched. His coworkers watched.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah. So, like, when you're saying, like, Black Lives Matter and then you go and post, like, All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, you are the biggest fucking asshole piece of shit. I mean, like, how dense could you be? Like, I don't get that. Like, how dense can you be? See, this is where I get angry. Yeah. This is where I get angry at stupidity. Like, how fucking stupid are you?
Right. And then here I come in being like, all right, if you can't get there, if you're not there yet, just say nothing. Just say nothing.
Right.
If you cannot say Black Lives Matter, just say nothing.
Right. Don't weigh in on the fucking do not weigh in on the subject, okay? Like, just keep your fucking mouth shut. Listen, it's like when it takes all the self-control I have on Instagram when I see people posting stupid shit that's like pro-Trump to just keep on scrolling, because you know what? I'm not going to say anything fucking nice to you. Right. You're not going to change your mind because of what I've said to you. Right. So I'm not going to sit here and waste like my time arguing with you. I did have somebody delete me. I got really fucking annoyed. It was like a blatant, like it was talking about how people that come over here illegally are taking our jobs and welfare and food stamps. And it was like the most ignorant post like ever. And I very calmly and politely said, I just want to let you know that this is very misinformed. I'm not trying to judge you. I just want you to hear me out. People that come over here illegally, they cannot get a driver's license because they don't have papers. They cannot get welfare because they don't have their papers. Right. Okay. They are not stealing your jobs. The person who is hiring those people are taking your job away to give it to somebody else to pay cheap labor to. So please, when you post stuff like this, think about facts. Like, say, before I post this, maybe I should look up some facts about these things. And he deleted me.
Of course, we don't like facts.
When
we are bigoted, we do not like facts.
And I was so like, listen, I was like not my normally jerky self about it. I really tried to explain to him that they don't qualify for licenses. They don't qualify for any government assistance or anything else. And if a job is taken away from you and given to them, they didn't take it from you. Your employer is a piece of dog shit that wants to underpay somebody for doing a job because they don't have papers and they take advantage of them.
Exactly. That person came here, they're willing to work just as hard as you are.
Right. And they're getting paid less. And that's what's bullshit.
It has nothing to do with you versus them. It has everything to do with that person trying to maximize their profit.
All right. So we've been on an hour. I do want to talk about two more things. I want to wrap it up and talk because I think we go so long. We're like crazy people.
It's like literally like we talk to each other for 6 hours normally when we hang out. So what am I doing here?
Okay, so I want to talk about the curse of the Glee cast for a moment. I know. Like, I'm convinced that like cast is cursed. First Corey Monteith dies of an overdose. Okay. The guy who played Puck was found with like a gazillion counts of child pornography on his computer and killed himself while awaiting trial. And now poor Naya Rivera just died in a boating accident. She, I guess, she felt the current coming, put her child on the boat and got swept away, and it took them a long time to find her body.
Yeah.
So they had to identify her by dental records. It took so long, and it's just so sad. And I mean, talk about a wonderful mother, that mom instinct to put her kid on the boat so he didn't get swept away.
I'd do the same shit.
You know,
Absolutely.
like,
it actually makes me feel like, like that's what I would do. Like,
yeah, of course. That's what every mom should do.
Like, I hope your life is great, but
so sad though. Like, so unbelievably sad. That child has to grow.
Not feeling that way until right now when you brought it up. I was so like, yeah, I mean, I heard about it. It's shitty. And then you just like the way that you described it, I was like thinking of being that person and just being like, wow, in that split second, being like, my life is not as important as yours because I brought you into this world.
It's just heartbreaking. She was like 33 years old.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I think that cast is fucking terrible.
That's why I won't go on boats with my kid alone. I mean, I won't go on boats. Many of them.
Yeah, I know. She was on vacation. She was on like I guess a pretty popular tourist area. The current was just bad, and it was terrible. I mean, it's just terrible. But I feel like that cast is like fucking cursed, man. Like it's like
the name of the show is Glee. That seems really fucking not cool to like. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's
so. I can't watch it anymore because like all I can think of is that my favorite character ended up being a fucking pedophile. Puck was my favorite character on the show, and he ends up being a fucking pedophile.
Yeah. I don't even want to go.
What?
The whole pedophile thing these days, I can't.
Oh, another thing, Epstein's girlfriend was arrested recently. She's on suicide watch. That bitch better not die.
Donald Trump just wishes the best for her.
I know she does. He does because
I can see that.
And I would like to know, what the fuck are you wishing the best of a sex trafficker? You're wishing the best to a sex trafficker? Are you out of your fucking mind? That's what you say? It's like when called white nationalists, like good people.
I don't care if I'm a president. I'm going to be like, you know what? She'll pay for what she did. It'll come out. Like if you want to be political and be politically correct, you don't say I wish well for the.
No, you don't wish well to the sex trafficker. There is so much evidence against her. She was grooming these girls for Epstein. Give me a goddamn break, okay? The fact that she went into hiding goes to show that she's guilty too.
Right. And where'd she go? She went to New Hampshire. She went to New Hampshire, which is what I was telling you about with the white America, the whole, whatever. that I escaped from. I feel like I escaped from New Hampshire.
That bitch better not die. Nobody better get to her. She better not kill herself. I want names. I want names of all of the people, even if I'm not going to like what I hear. I want names.
Absolutely. Me too. Because I feel like
shit in his pants. Definitely.
And I can remember. I remember when there was that video circulating of Ashton Kutcher talking about like the work that he does with that and like the emotion that he was, showing because of what he knows, and just being in my mind being like, he knows so much more than we know, and it's breaking him. And that makes me scared. And that makes me so afraid that this is way bigger than just like like they used to, you grew up and like everybody made the joke about them, like, oh, there's an uncle that touches. And it's like, no, this is not.
No.
This is systematic, like you said, grooming and rings and just all this disgusting shit.
And women participating in it. Look at the chick that played Chloe on Smallville. She's in jail for the rest of her life, I'm sure, for sex trafficking. She was part of that fucking cult. Remember that?
No, I don't, because I'm too fucking sensitive to know any of this. I literally, unless somebody tells me, I can't look at it. I can't read it. It's like
she was on Smallville, and she was on from the very beginning until the very end. And it's really crazy because like my Netflix went on like silent mode or whatever, and they were like showing you like new on Netflix or now on Netflix. and they have the picture of Smallville, and she's on the fucking picture. Like, you couldn't have just used the picture of Tom Welling, like, standing in the cornfield that everybody loves so much. You had to put that bitch's face on the freaking thing. Like, she is a sex trafficker, okay? She chills with pedophiles. Like, come on, Netflix, get it together. Like, craziness. Craziness.
Again, but it a little bit shows how acceptable it is in certain circles.
Yeah.
You know, that's not an outrage. To me, that's an outrage. I have a daughter. When she opens the front door, if I hear it, I'm like, door, like, because I'm so terrified.
I always taught my kids that somebody knocks on the door.
Adorable. No thanks.
You ignore that shit. I don't care if they could see you sitting there. You ignore them. Don't care. Dogs going crazy. Don't fucking care. Don't open the door.
Yeah, exactly.
So next week, we were going to do it this week. A friend of mine just started a new company. It's like a witchy company. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's a witch's apothecary store that she opened on Etsy.
I'm so into it right now. I'm going to become a full-blown witch because I'm so done with.
Okay, it's called Akasha Read. Her Etsy is www.etsy.com/shop. Okay, I have to spell this. AKASHAREDE workings. So next week, the box didn't get here on time. The postal service is very slow right now, as we know, because of Corona. So the box didn't get here on time. Next
because
Friday.
that's how the postal service works to begin with. Sorry.
But next week we're going to be unveiling her products on air because I really want to. I want to support small businesses, and she was a customer of mine back in the day. She's a wonderful human. She deserves our support. So we're gonna unbox.
I'm so excited, and honestly, like I'm so excited because it's kind of witchy stuff, and like that's we're here for that. We are here for that.
I'll send you the link to it because it's right up your alley. I know you're going to love it. So we're going to unveil that next week because the post office can suck my butt. It didn't get here on time. And please do not forget to go check out Val's slime store as well.
Yes, what is it? VIP slime store on Etsy?
On Etsy. Yeah, 10-year-old little feminist entrepreneur. Go give her your money, guys.
Oh, yeah. If you got kids or if you just like to play with fun things.
You know what's funny? Adults use it as a stress reliever too. So
totally. This is what I'm saying. I used to in group therapy, I used to make people blow bubbles. So
I'm all about it.
Whatever works.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for another week. Next week, I'll be a little drunker and happier, I guess.
Sorry,
my back is really killing me today. I'm like under the covers right now. I washed my hair.
We gotta get you some of those lozenges, dude.
I know. I need something because I'm not going on pain management at fucking 40 years old. It's not happening.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
All right. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Friday at 9:00.
Ow!